Someone has just died. The family is grieving, arrangements need to be made, and then one of the first practical questions comes up. Who pays for the funeral? Is it the family? Is it taken from the estate? Do executors have to pay up front? And the answer is not always what people expect. As a qualified solicitor in England and Wales, I'll explain exactly how this works in practice, looking at who pays for the funeral, how the money is actually accessed, and what executors need to know before making any arrangements. Because here's the first thing to understand. Funerals are not paid for in the same way as normal expenses. There's a specific order and process behind it. In most cases, funeral costs are treated as a priority expense of the estate. That means they are usually paid before other debts, and they are considered essential costs. So even though probate might not be granted yet, funeral arrangements still need to happen. And this is where things get confusing for many families, because the estate isn't always immediately accessible. Many banks will release money early to help pay for funeral costs. This is often called an interim payment or funeral payment release. Usually, the bank will pay the funeral director directly or release funds to the person arranging the funeral. But they will normally require a death certificate, a copy of the will, if there is one, ID, and the funeral invoice. But this isn't automatic. Each bank has its own policy, and they may not release funds until certain conditions are met. If the deceased had accounts with numerous different banks, if the first bank refuses to pay the invoice, try the next bank. Executors are not always expected to pay from their own pocket. They are managing the estate, not personally funding it. This is something that causes a lot of stress. People assume executors must pay up front, but that's not normally the case. If the bank doesn't release funds early, then the estate may not be accessible until probate is granted. This can create timing issues because the funeral usually happens quickly, but probate takes longer. So families often have to make arrangements before full access to funds is available. So who actually pays for the funeral? In practice, it usually comes from one of three places: the deceased's bank account, released early or via estate account, the estate itself after probate, or family members temporarily covering costs and reclaiming later. It depends entirely on timing and access to funds. And this is important. There is no single fixed rule for every situation. It depends on the bank, the estate, and how quickly access can be arranged. Once probate is granted, funeral expenses are usually reimbursed from the estate as a priority debt. That means they are paid before most other beneficiaries receive anything. You also need to review the deceased's paperwork to see if you can find any evidence of a prepaid funeral plan that was taken out in their lifetime. If there is a prepaid funeral plan, then the funeral expenses should be covered, or at least the majority of them. So here's the simplest way to understand it. Funeral costs are normally paid from the deceased's estate, not the family personally. But timing matters. Sometimes money is available immediately. Sometimes it isn't until probate is granted, if the deceased didn't have available cash. If you're dealing with a situation like this, it can feel overwhelming, especially when arrangements need to be made quickly. So I've created a free executors checklist that breaks everything down step by step in plain English. It helps you understand what to do first, what comes next, and how to avoid common mistakes during probate. You can download it using the link in the description. And if you want simple, practical explanations about probate and estate administration in England and Wales, make sure to subscribe. I'll be covering everything step by step in future videos.